Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
My thing was this. I tell them, look, I got to go to board, right? And if I beat you up, I'm going to get a write up. And when I go to board, they're going to deny me 5, 10 years, maybe 15 years for beating you up. So I might as well just kill you because it's all me. And then they get the picture, like, hey, maybe this guy ain't worth fucking with.
So knowing that you might not ever get out,
Yeah.
did you ever reach your limit inside knowing that? I mean, how did you find your path? Working, tattooing, art. How really did you walk through this?
Yeah. Yeah, there was some low points, man. Like, man, um, when you start to realize, like you're never gonna get out of prison, right? Um, it's rough, and like I'm an artist and like art supplies in prison, you have to buy with your own money. And so, like, I remember transferring from Lancaster prison back to Donovan prison, which is in San Diego. They did away with a hobby program, and I had $2,000 or $3,000 worth of art supplies I saved up, over a 5 year time in this other prison. So when I got there, the maintenance staff knew me, so they went and got my art supplies out of R&R, which is receiving and release, and they gave them to me. I took them myself. They come in like tubs, Rubbermaid tubs, and I just slid them under the bed. And then one time, they went through this thing in California prisons where they would say, and I know this because it happened at two different prisons at the same time. They would say they found a bullet. We found a bullet in the plaza or in the work area. So they would search the whole prison. That was their excuse to search the whole prison. And of course, later on, they found out that staff were planting the bullets, right? Which, anyways, they came through one of these searches and they had, they brought a metal detector in the unit, all this shit. And so when I went back to my cell, all my hobby stuff was out on the tier. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, at this point, man, this is like 2003. That's all I got, right? Uh, the guy's like, "Hey," he's laughing, like, yeah, fuck you, get in the cell. I'm like, hey, asshole, that's my shit. And he's like, we're taking it. There's no hobby. And I'm like, wow. And so, I was pretty depressed, man. We were locked down on that for about a week. And during that whole week, man, I was just thinking, man, what the fuck am I going to do if they take all my art shit, Because that's what I had. It kept me going. And so finally, I just figured out, a way, a means, a way to do it. And I talked to the laundry guy in the yard. His dad was a warden and shit. And I told him what happened. He's like, brought my dad a letter. So I wrote the warden a letter and I said, hey, look, they took our shit, and this and that. And they had said that they were going to do away with our stuff through attrition, you know. So the bottom line is the lieutenant came and got us, gave our shit back, and said, "Stick it under your bed and keep it out of sight." But I mean, I just kept getting the staff saying, "Look, you guys said you were going to let us use up our supplies, and once they're gone, no more." And I also told them, "Look, I'm going to be transferring in about a year to a level 2 prison, lower level prison where they have hobby, and I can't afford to buy all this shit again." So finally, I got the right ear, and yeah, they gave our stuff back to the guys on the yard, but they basically said, keep it low profile, and so I mean, you just find a way to make things happen. But that, shit like that, when they take only thing you really have from you, it's really depressing, man. It's
Now, I know you're a huge music fan. You
oh
talk
yeah,
about music a lot, but you never really talk about the specific groups and genres you listened to while you were inside. And by the way, whose music is that in the beginning of your channel? I love it. I know I have heard it before. Very California.
yeah.
It's Martin Rose.
Martin Rose,
Riding On is called the song.
yeah,
And it's what do they call it? It's free. So
yeah,
they don't charge royalties or he doesn't charge anything
yeah.
like that. It's all
Yeah, so that's part of the editing program that she downloaded. They have a selection of music that's available where you don't have to pay royalties or anything. Yeah, so that's what she uses.
The whole song's actually really good. He's a really good artist.
Yeah, so I love music.
So, for those of you who are wondering who that beautiful voice from the back there was coming out of nowhere, that's the backbone of the operation, Mrs. Smiley.
Yeah,
Because that song screams California.
I do like that song. It's cool. Uh, I'd like to use a little Bad Religion or whatever. Uh,
Yeah, who'd you grow up listening to? And who got you through some of the darkest moments while you were on the inside? I know you had
yeah.
that primo boombox inside.
Well, that's a long story because prison, like I went to prison right when they started letting guys have radios and all that, and they had these uh, realistic 8-track players. They had two speakers, radio, 8-track, and you weren't allowed to have cassette players because they could record and no recording devices, right? So guys had super tuners, and then they came out with Walkmans. They didn't have recording devices on them. You could get those, and guys would hook the Walkman up to the super tuner so you could hear it, like an inline. And then they came out with CDs, but it was really hard to get a decent radio. Um, yeah, it was really difficult, and that was best radio you could have for a long time was a Super Two. One time I got a Sony Sport with this white CD boombox thing. It was the best radio I ever had in there. But anyways, music when I went in was like Led Zeppelin, all the 60s, 70s shit, I grew up on that, yeah, classic rock, but I got burned out on it, man. And I was like, fuck this music. I was at a point where I was gonna throw my radio away because you're only allowed to have 10 tapes or 10 CDs, which is not a big selection. And I would take two tapes and put them together in one case. And guys would, I was a bitch, man. But and so I told this kid, I said, hey man, fuck this radio. This and I was complaining about the music. And he goes, hey, listen to these. And he threw some tapes under my door. And I was the Misfits, Walk Among Us, and Black Flag, first 4 years, and Social Distortion.
Social Distortion, love them. When the Angels Fly.
And I listened to this shit, right? And these are just these three tapes at the first time, right? And so I listened to him. I said, man, what is that shit? And he goes, man, that's punk rock, brother. And he's like, wow, But to me, it was just like hardcore rock and roll, And I was like, fuck, man. He goes, you can keep them tapes, And so, I really like Social Distortion, Mike Ness, and a good dude. He was a drug addict. He went in and out of jail. And he straightened his life up. He's the NA guy and all that stuff. He's got some outstanding music. So I like, I like, yeah, and I like Jesse Dayton, outlaw country type stuff. Waylon Jennings, Hank Three. I like all that stuff. I like a variety of stuff.
Any ska?
Yeah, yeah. I like ska music. I like the Voodoo Glow Skulls. They're cool.
That was not on purpose. Sorry.
There's that song.
How about blues or country?
Yeah.
You guys like Robert Cray.
I like Robert Cray, a little blues, but I like, like a lot of that weird 80s, 90s music, like, The Cure and all that stuff. I actually kind of like, Depeche Mode's kind of okay, I like Boingo a lot.
Wait a second, Uncle Mitch. 1 second, hold on. We might have to edit this whole part out. Uncle Mitch likes Depeche Mode.
Yeah, some of it's all right,
I mean, The Cure, The Cult, In Excess, but Depeche Mode? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I like Boingo a lot. I like Boingo.
The great Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo.
Oh, I like the Cult. Yeah, I love the Cult. Yeah, In Excess. Yeah. Yeah.
Guns N' Roses. You like Guns?
Yeah, I like Guns N' Roses,
Okay, Guns N' Roses. Okay, you've redeemed yourself a little bit. How about some of those California bands? Black Crowes, Doobies, The Dead.
Yeah, they're good though. They had a unique sound, Yeah, I like reggae, ska, There's no substitute for the original bands, But I like the New Bomb Turks. You hip to the New Bomb Turks or the Humpers. Yeah, I like the UK subs. Yeah,
How about the Black Crows?
yeah, they're all right.
Doobie Brothers?
I don't like the Doobies at all. Never have. No,
Grateful Dead?
no, no, no. I like the Dead Boys. They're cool.
Stiv Beta's great.
Yeah, yeah. Good Vader. Yeah, yeah,
The late 70s in New York City was great.
yeah,
CBGB's, Maxis Kansas City,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. CBGB, CBGB.
New York Dolls.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny Thunders. He's a shit.
Yeah, that's a whole. I guess that's a whole nother side that we can actually talk about because I knew that you were into the whole music thing.
Well, music makes you feel good, and that's what it should be. And like I used to lay in bed mad at night with the radio on and just, I had selfies. Like when I paint, I got the music going, bright light. Like, hey, can you turn the lights down? Can you turn the radio off? I'm like, no, you don't like it? Fuck, move the fuck out, because I gotta have music and I gotta have bright lights when I paint, and that's my deal. So yeah, I love music. It sets a mood. And if I wasn't feeling right, I might listen to some Mike Ness. Some of his shit's pretty good. And just, yeah, I mean, just, yeah,
What about rap and hip hop?
I don't like rap. I don't like rap. Nah. I listen to Transplants a little bit. Eminem, some of his shit's all right. But I like the Transplants. It's a mix of Travis Barker and Tim Armstrong. They got together, had the Transplants.
Blink 182, right?
Yeah, yeah, Blink. Yeah, they had a band called the Transplants. They're pretty good, you know. But,
That was a great topic. I'm glad we got to talk about that and let people know where you were coming from. By the way, I don't think I'm ever going to let you live down Depeche Mode. Never. Okay, so you basically grew up on the inside. What advice can you give to folks today that are in prison, whether it be a long bid or a short bid? And what was that pivotal moment for you during your life inside that changed everything when you said, fuck this, enough is enough?
well, if you have a long term to do in prison, it doesn't mean you're not going to get out. You just got to deal with it, man. You got to get through it. You got to get from point A to point B. That's the goal, right? Um, when I realized that, I was never going to get out, um, I came to the realization, like, look, man, I quit using drugs in '98 totally. All my friends were out or gone or low level prisons, and I was still in level 4 prison because I was a fuck up. But I just came to the conclusion that, look, even if I don't get out of prison, I'm gonna be comfortable in here. And comfortable doesn't mean I have to sell dope or do illegal shit to have money to be comfortable. It means I'm gonna have an activity I like to do. I like to play softball back then. I played a little soccer. I also have my artwork. And by then I pretty much quit tattooing because I wanted to be, and when I quit using drugs and selling drugs, it was like water up my back. I didn't have to worry about the cops. So you want to get to the point where you don't have to worry about the cops coming in your cell because you're going to be clean.
Nothing to hide.
Yeah, you don't have to have a knife because some guy ain't paying you for some dope. You don't have to have nothing illegal in your house. So, and then you have activities that you can do in your cell, like I did my artwork. When I was in Corcoran, there was no hobby. So I got a package, you could get packages. I got 380 colored pencils and 4 tablets of paper. And I was doing drawings. Oh,
Around what year was this?
97, 98, around there, and I just said, I'm going to have my artwork. I started going to Catholic mass. Of course, now I go to an Orthodox church out here. Well, I went to mass every Sunday. I have my artwork. I had 4 or 5 guys I could communicate with, walk the track with, talk about motorcycles, and that was my deal. No matter how bored I got with shit, I always had my artwork. I always had some music. I always had some kind of handball or softball or something to do on the yard. So you got a way to burn energy. You got a job. Also, a good job will get you off the yard and out of the shit. We don't have to, yeah, be in the mix because you're at work, and then when you're off work, you're at home getting your shower and you're in your cage. So uh, just get a routine, man. You're not involved with illegal shit, and also mind your own business. Be aware of what's going on around you, but mind your own. Don't let other people in your business, because that's one thing about prison, man, is everybody wants to know everybody else's business, because you got everybody living on a certain level, and they're trying to yeah, advance their selves, man. Financially, whether it's drugs, money, canteen, coffee, whatever. And so don't let anyone in your business, because they're all going to be trying to get in your business. And just do your own thing, man. Do what you got to do, but do you.
Exactly. So let's call that around 2000. So you didn't get out until 17. So from the early 2000s
Yeah,
until when
yeah,
did it change for you? Because you really didn't
yeah.
think you were going to get out at any time, did you?
And then, well, what really made me realize, I needed to focus on getting out. Now, I spent from 98 to 2011 on the track that, I'm never going to get out. I'm just going to be comfortable. And then, I got my points down to level 2. I was in San Quentin, was now level 2 prison, and you know, they had a hobby shop and all that stuff. So I'm doing woodwork and I'm doing art, and I had a way to sell tobacco, and which is illegal in California, but it's still. So I had a route to get tobacco in, and did it for about a year, and I invested a lot of money in art supplies, wood, stuff like that to hobby with, thinking, hey, I'm going to use this money to buy enough shit to last me 5 or 10 years while I'm in prison, and I don't smoke, I was just selling it. And, I got told on. And, I lost 1,500 books of stamps. And I went to the hole for 5 months, and I got transferred to another prison. And when I got to my property at that other prison, guys had gone through my shit when I was in there and stole a bunch of my art supplies and, some of my music shit and all that. And so, and when I was in the hole, I told the counselor, hey, how come I can't go back to the block? Right. And he started laughing at me. He goes, hey, all them guys told on you, man. They don't want you back in the block. So, I just came to the conclusion, man, and now I started seeing guys with term to life get out. They were going to board and they were getting out. So I realized, hey, this write up's going to cost me. And I went to board. I got a 5-year denial. And I just realized, look, man, none of these cocksuckers in here care about me. They don't care about my family. Uh, you know, they don't give a shit what you're going through. Very few people. I had a couple guys here and there, but
Unfortunately, it seems like you were right.
yeah. And like I said before, I told people, I wasn't fucking guys over. I figured out how to get that tobacco in there, and how to get the proceeds out to my family. I was doing that to make money. I wasn't doing it to make friends, but I didn't fuck over anybody, so I couldn't figure out. Man, I was just thinking, man, why them dudes tell on me like that? But I ran into a guy at Soledad, and he goes, "Look, brother, you've been sober all these years, but you're not clean." I go, "What the fuck you talking about?" And he goes, "You haven't relied on your higher power 100%, man, and you're still got, stinking thinking going on." And first I got mad at him, then I realized he was right. And so I was sober, but I wasn't clean. I still had a shitty mentality, and so I started working on that, man, and I started going to programs, and
Yeah, that was probably another pivotal moment
yep, yep. And
because he was
I
right.
went to some fucking asshole prison. So now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be the guy I said I am. I'm gonna get my shit right, and I'm gonna have a positive outlook, and I'm gonna rely on my higher power 100%, man, and I'm gonna turn it over. But I'm still surrounded by idiots, guys who think they're gangsters and they're living on a low level prison, and they don't have a clue what being a gangster really is, and and yeah, and they don't really know what being tough is all about. They think being tough is being some dope fiend and calling shots on lames in prison and let them, So I got to manage that side of my life and, and still be right, and I was fortunate. I had a few good younger homeboys that wanted to see me get out and, and they listened to me and if anybody got a little chesty or whatever, they tell me back the fuck up, lame, that's my homeboy. So, you know, I was lucky, and I got out,
Congrats, man. That's a big deal. So I don't think you've ever touched on this on your channel. Take us through the whole parole process.
Well, 2017, I got out September 29th, but I went to board, man, and my lawyer, I had a private lawyer, and she lived in Monterey, which is by Soledad, so she
Nothing's
did a lot of
different
hearings
on
in
the outside
Soledad.
world, my
But
brother.
now I'm down the road. I'm in a prison where they had the long-term offender program in San Luis Obispo, and so she tells me, "Hey, man, this guy Randy Grounds is going to be your board member." And I told her, oh my God, is there any way we can cancel my hearing, postpone it for a couple months so we don't have that guy? And he was a warden at Soledad at one time, so she dealt with him a lot because she did hearings there. And she goes, oh no, it's good, he's good. I said, man, everybody said that's the worst board member there is. She goes, oh no, he's a good guy, really. You just got to be straight with him. And it turns out, he was a Marine. He used to train Ultimate Fighter stuff, and he worked his way up from like correctional officer up to warden. Now he's on the board, and she goes, he's just a lot like you guys. He's just stand up guy, and he just, if your victim is a child or a woman or a cop, you're out. And so I'm like, all right, and I went to board, man, and this guy asked me pointed questions. Now the program I went to was created by the parole board. So I went in there thinking, they're going to ask me about the program. He didn't ask me one question about the program, but he could tell that I got something out of the program by the way I answered the questions that he did ask. And he listened to me, and he found me suitable for parole. And then he came out and told me one thing. He told me, he said, "Look, man, don't take the easy way out no more." He brought up the tobacco smuggling thing. And he said, "Don't do that, man. Don't take the easy way out." And this guy's on the other side of the fence, man. But and I was crying like a little kid, man. I was just like overwhelmed, with emotion. And he said, "Look, man, we need guys like you out on the street." And he goes, "You got a story to tell, and people need to hear it, and I want you to tell it." And he goes, he goes, "When you're able to come back in these prisons and tell your story in here, I want you to do it." And I'll have to get off parole first, but
Brother, he's 1,000% right. You absolutely have a story to tell, and you're telling it, and you're thriving. Salute.
yeah,
So once again, congrats. Now I know you've been formulating a plan while you're inside for one day when you got out.
yeah,
You have your artwork, to your t-shirt apparel business.
yeah,
Hardintentions.com is the website. You have big time tattooing experience, which I think one day might be a great add on for you. So,
yeah,
you got a date. How long does it take for you to actually be released?
yeah,
Uh, take us
yeah.
take us through that. Paint that picture, please.
Yeah, once you get found suitable, by two board members find you suitable, then the board in Sacramento have a 9-member panel. They got 120 days to review it, and so they affirmed it. And then the governor has 30 days to review it. So you got 150 days. So after 120 something days, they called me over to the office and they go, "Hey man, you're going home next Friday." They told me on a Friday, "You're going home next Friday."
What the
Hey,
fuck? Act the next
yeah.
Friday, just like that?
They tell me, yeah, I'm going home in a week from Friday. So I went and told a couple guys, you know, I only really had two friends at that time on the yard. There's a lot of kids, a lot of fucking lames. And there was actually a couple black dudes I knew in youth authority that were there doing life. And I told them, and I told my friends, a couple friends of mine, "Hey, I'm out." And so they were happy, they're glad. Yeah, like fuck yeah, and so I'll go to church on Sunday. I went to mass, told everybody over there I'm out, and I went back to the yard, man, and they wouldn't let me in the building, I was like, what the fuck? Now you gotta remember I'm not in the mix, with drugs and that shit anymore. So evidently with some problems going on with the South Sider types and the blacks and the whites were in the mix somehow. They weren't paying their debts and but the cops knew what was going on. I guess they wouldn't let. Normally, I could just slide in the building, go to my cell, and kick it. But like, now you got to wait for the unlock. And so, yeah, riot jumped off on the yard, man, and uh, that I think a couple guys died, and about 8 dudes got stabbed up. It was the blacks jumped on the whites, and then they jumped on the Southern Mexicans, and it was just a big deal, And I was on the track when it jumped off. I just sat my ass down. I'm like, fuck this, man. And my homeboys told me, I call them, they call me from prison. Like, yeah, you know what? Uh, you know, we're glad you sat down. If you would have gotten to mixing that shit, you dumbass, you would have put our foot in your ass. You were going home. Well, they told me, hey man, you did 38 years, and we want to see you get out. So fuck that shit. So anyway, they took everybody on the yard whether they were, I mean, guys were out making telephone calls, everybody, and they put us in the cages on the yard in the hole. They got walk alone cages, and they had like 5 or 10 dudes in each cage, and they're like, hey, all you guys are going to the hole. They started bringing buses in because to take guys to the Ad Seg and other prisons because they didn't have enough room to lock everyone up. So I seen a lieutenant come by. I go, hey, lieutenant, check this out. I'm going home next Friday. I wasn't involved with this shit. I just came back from church and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, good luck. Then another guy, hey, good luck. Another lieutenant. And the third lieutenant I saw, I said, hey, man, check it out, dude. I wasn't involved. I'm going home next Friday. Ain't no fucking way, and he's like, let me check it out. And then I saw my building officer from across the street in a different prison. He was my building officer, and he knew me well. He was a motorcycle rider. I told him what happened. I told him, hey, that lieutenant said he's going to check it out. He goes, if that lieutenant said that, he's going to check it out. He's going to do it. His word's good. I said, well, can you go co-sign me? He goes, yeah. And then another guy come by who was my building officer, and he goes, yeah, I'll go tell him. So I'm like, and then I don't, this happened at 11 o'clock, and this is like now 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, and that I ain't hearing shit, and so now I'm thinking, fuck, if I go to the hole, I'm through. They're gonna take my date. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, my old building cop from across the street came by, and he goes, hey, come here. Oh, wait, the lieutenant come by. He goes, who was with you on the track? I said, that guy and that guy. They were sitting right by me. And he goes, all right. So he split, and then like 4 in the morning, my old building cop comes by. He goes, hey, Smiley, come here. I go, what's up? He goes, who are them guys that were with you? I go, that guy and that guy. He goes, you two guys, come here. I go, what's up? He goes, you're going back to your building. And I went back to the building, and I didn't go to the hole, and it's by the grace of God, man. And yeah, lieutenant told me, hey, what's right is right, man. And you earn that. You're going home, and I'm not gonna fuck you over. And I said, hey, look, man, I'm getting out. And I said, I know you've seen a lot of guys get out of prison, and they come right back. I said, I want you to know I'm gonna get out and do it right, And
Facts, my brother. Facts. So that Friday comes. Who picked you up? And did you have to go to transitional housing? How does that work?
my mom picked me up. Yeah, so my mom lived right by that particular prison, and she had just sold her house, and she was gonna move to Las Vegas. So she stayed. She sold her house, and she picked me up, and I'm like, my mom's fucked up, man, a lot of ways, but I had sent a bunch of artwork home, my t-shirt patterns and motorcycle paintings, this and that, and I was like, hey, I go out there, and she's got a minivan. It's just packed full of
Wow,
shit.
Jesus
I'm like,
Christ.
what the fuck? I got my property. Oh, I didn't think about that because I got my art supplies. I took my art supplies home with me, and that's about it. And then I'm like, hey, where's my art? And she goes, oh, it's in storage somewhere. I'm like, fuck. So anyway, she drives me down. I got out on a Friday, and we drive down to Los Angeles, and we get, it's late. LA traffic is hell, man.
Absolutely awful.
Yeah, so was a trip, man. It was a trip. Because we went up the coast. I got to see the ocean, and so we get into LA, man, and it's just bumper to bumper. And I'm like, look, I got to be there by 5 o'clock. I called in the morning. This lady goes, no, you get your ass down here today. I go, fuck. So I call again, and it's the parole officer. She goes, look, dude, where you at? I'm like, man, I'm an hour away. So we get there. It's almost 5. It's a black dude, and he goes, hey, look, man, it's Friday. I live 3 hours from here. I should be home right now. He goes, you see what that paper says? I go, what? He says, report the next, no later than the next working day. That's Monday. I go, look, man, I've seen dudes come back to prison get violated for not reporting the same day. He goes, things ain't like that no more. You bring your ass back over here Monday. I go, all right. So I hung out in a hotel for the weekend with my mom, bullshitted with her, and
What was your first meal? What did you eat?
pork. I had some pork chops. Yeah. So I really didn't have anywhere to stay yet. I was paroling in Los Angeles. You have to go to transitional housing if you're a lifer for 6 months. So um, I had wrote some places, and so they got this state funded ones. They're kind of like they call them community prisons, guys. They suck. You can't have a phone. You can't, it's real restrictive. You got to have a pass to go anywhere, and so. But they also have a Sister Teresa. She's a Catholic nun. She runs the Francisco houses. There's 5 houses, and so I call this guy Steve got out, and I get a hold of Steve. He's an older Mexican cat. I knew him when I was a kid, and he come by the hotel. And he's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna try to get you hooked up, and so he's calling. He goes, "Man, she said you should have wrote her when you were in there." I said, "I did, but I actually wrote a different nun that used to run it, and they kind of parted ways, so I never got an answer." And he's like, "Man, it's full." So I'm like, fuck. So I go see my parole officer, and she's thinking, I think, she goes, I'm thinking I should put you in this program over here. And I go, I'm thinking that's the last place I want to be. And she goes, where do you want to go? And I told her I want to go to the Francisco house. So she calls, and she goes, go on over there for an interview. And that was that. They happened to have a bed open up that day, and she accepted me, and Sister Teresa accepted me. And so the Francisco house is in South Central LA. I lived about 2 blocks from where the Rodney King riots started. A lot of these kids don't even know about the Rodney King riots. Uh, I lived about 2 blocks from that. We're the only white dudes in the whole place, and it was a duplex, 2-story, and there was like 24 guys there, and there's about 3 or 4 white dudes, all Hispanic and black neighborhoods, and they're we live right on the border where the blacks one way and the Hispanics the next way, and I mean there's shootings and shit going on, and it was just crazy. But I'm like, I asked these dudes, hey, what's it like here? And they go, it's like prison. They said, if you want some, they'll give you some, and they'll give you more than you can handle. But if you don't want none, they won't fuck with you. And that's the way it was. People are friendly. Hey, what's up? I mean, I used to walk to the store at 10 o'clock at night, and with my earbuds in. I didn't. I came from the worst place on earth to whatever, man. I'm on the street. I don't care. I'm walking laps around the block at 10, 11 o'clock at night, talking to my old lady on the phone. I'm just tripping out. But so I got there, and I called at that time, my wife and I, we got divorced when I was in there, but she's like, hey man, you want to she lived on the other end of the state. She goes, you want to go shopping? And I go, what are you talking about? Yeah, I go, you live 500 miles from here. She goes, what do you want? I go, man. So I tell her I want, groceries, and she goes, all right. And then like an hour later, here comes Amazon Prime with all these groceries. I'm like, what the hell, man? And these dudes are like, all these black dudes are like, man, who the fuck's this guy? He's been here an hour. He's getting groceries delivered. Yeah, but it was a trip, man. I had my birth certificate, so that was a jump. One thing I would tell guys: make sure you can get if you can get your Social Security card and your birth certificate before you get out, get it. Um, so these guys been out, this older cats. They drove me down to the DMV, and they go, "All right, here's the DMV. This is what you do, right? And then you go down to this street and you catch this bus down to here, and then you get that bus over here, and then you'll be home. And if you have any problems, call it." So I'm like, "All right, cool." And I made 5 or 6 trips back and forth to the DMV, and it was just,
Yeah, the
you know,
DMV on a good day is all fucked up.
well, I got an ID, and then I want to get my license. I had to get my motorcycle license, and but and that's how I learned my way around LA. One time I got lost, and I was in a neighborhood like where I really didn't belong, and a lot of black folks are looking at me like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" And so I call them. I go, "Hey, I think I'm lost, man." They go, "Where are you?" I told them. They go, "Man, don't move. Just go to that Krispy Kreme there and just stay there." They come pick me up, take me home. But
So you were cultivating your dream of selling your art and T-shirt designs,
yeah.
preparing to get out. That's a great segue. How important was Mrs. Smiley in the process?
Well, after I was in transitional housing for 7 months down there in LA, I moved up here to the mountains with my wife, and my wife moved up here with me, and we lived next door to her parents. But my mom had given all my artwork to some lady. This guy at the house, his old lady supposedly sells art and does shit with art, and I'm like, all right, I say, "Hey, Mom, they're gonna come by Las Vegas, they're over there. Give them a few pieces of art. Just don't give them all this, just give them a few pieces." Well, my mom gave her everything, everything. I was like,
Damn, after all this time, still not getting it.
no. So, you know, now I'm up here and I came in a little bit more money, and so I'm communicating with my cousin who's communicating with this chick that's got my art, and my wife's like, "What the fuck you doing? All this texting." She don't know, she's not really she's thinking I'm fucked on my art. And I'm like, "Man, I'm not giving that up." So my cousin got my t-shirt patterns and a few of my paintings from this chick. I still haven't got all of it, but and she's like, "Oh wow, you got your stuff." And I had the money, and I was working at the time, busting my ass, building cabinets, and my lady's like, "Man, what the fuck's wrong?" And I'm like, "I feel like I'm going backwards." And she says, "Look, fuck that job. You quit that job and just focus on selling t-shirts and art." So I went out and got some shirts made, and she helped me with the GoDaddy, got my website going. She's tech savvy and I'm not, so we're like a team. And
Salute to Mrs. Smiley. I mean, I'm married 35 years, and I can tell you, having that support system behind you is absolutely invaluable.
hey, congratulations.
And also, I want to say congratulations to you guys. That is wild. I mean, we've hardly even spoken about Mrs. Smiley and your relationship prior and now. And obviously, she's a very, very important part of this whole process, not just the technical aspect of hardintentions.com, but really you and your whole personal being at this point. I'm really hoping that at one time we can get to interview her. What do you say? Is that possible for a part 2?
Well, I mean, it's not just being tech savvy with the art. Well, like uh, I like to prison, man. When you got an opportunity, you jump on it. It just balls out and you run it till it dies, right? And out here, you don't have to do it like that. I mean, she tries to keep me focused. Uh, she keeps telling me, "Hey, just live in the moment, man." I go like, "Hey, it'd be nice if we could do this," and she's like, "Hey, dude, you're already doing that. Just live in it for a minute before you start thinking about, she is always telling me, just live in this for a minute. Don't try to get ahead of yourself, you know. Things are going just fine, you know. Uh, hey, I got 8,000 followers, man. I want 10,000. She's like, dude, what do you know? Yeah, I mean,
I love it. Dude, relax, chill, enjoy.
yeah, yeah. And you know, like I get pissed off at people, man. I'm thinking, you know, that guy's a fucking punk or this or that. And she's like, hey, you know what? You know, she keeps me focused. She pulls me back from my you know, taking inventory on some asshole, you know. She's like, hey, let that shit go. She keeps me focused, you know, and
She's right.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. You know, I told a story one time on my thing about you know, we're downtown. We get a lot of tourists up here, and she was walking in front of me. The sidewalk's pretty wide, and this family walked by, and this guy was on his phone, and he bumped my old lady into the gutter off the sidewalk, and I it took me a minute to realize, hey man, this guy just knocked my old lady off the sidewalk into the gutter, and I said, if it would have been me, I'd have been like, yeah, whatever. But you're not gonna do that to my old lady. And I turned around. I said, hey, you fucking punk. You know, you knocked my old lady off the sidewalk, and you know, I called him a punk and a bitch and all kinds of names, and he never looked up from his phone because I said I was sorry. I said, hey, you know, and she's like, hey, you know, be cool, man. His family's here. I said, man, fuck his family. You know, and now I'm glad the guy didn't, you know, turn around and because I would have been, it would have been ugly. But
Unfortunately, my brother, the world is full of self-absorbed, ignorant assholes.
yeah,
Yeah, so congratulations on your newfound fame. Your newfound fame. Did you ever think that you would have 8,000 plus subscribers shouting your name, tuning into you, looking forward to hardintentions.com every day? Do you view it as fame? Did you ever think or want to be famous at any time?
no, you know, fame to me is about, you know, I mean, if famous means making a bunch of money, I'd like sure everyone would like to make a ton of money, you know, but you know, I'm not really looking to be famous. I'm not looking to be a celebrity. I'm not looking to be, yeah, I'm just trying to live my life and you know, like with my artwork, like we print t-shirts, you know, we got our t-shirts out there. I think my shirts are cool, man, and I want to get my shirts out to as many people as I can. I do paintings, I get my paintings out, we sell prints of my art, and the more people that see my YouTube channel, they see, oh wow, that's cool, you know. I mean, and they visit our site and see if we got some cool shit. You know, I'm not really looking to make a bunch of money off YouTube. They pay us a little bit for the commercials, but my big thing is, you know, people really seem to like my artwork and our T-shirts, and they like our message, I guess, and they support what we're doing. So, yeah, it's really gratifying, man. And like I said, it's a vindication of a idea I had that, and it just it's really humbling, man. To be honest with you.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I own a shirt, a hat, a couple of stickers. I'm a big Hard Intentions fan. Actually, I also have a print as well. So I know that you sincerely appreciate it because every time you're on, you really do shout out to the people, and it comes across truth. Uh, it's funny that you say about the subscribers. You know, you have 8,000, you want 10,000. You have 10,000, you want 15,000. That's normal. But you're going there, man. You're doing it, and so happy for you. So, how do you think you can help others by telling your story?
Yeah, well, that's the goal, you know, is to see if, you know, if some young kid will realize, look, man, prison's not the place I want to be, or you know, like, yeah, like our friend Jason, Justin, the Marine, you know, you know, guys have problems with drug problems and whatnot. Have got at me, and they're like, hey, thanks for helping out, thanks for listening. You know, I mean, that's cool. You know, I'm very grateful that the message helps some people on one, and then you know, even if it's just entertaining for guys that don't really know what's going on, they have a curiosity. It'll keep them from going down that route. That's cool, you know.
What's your take on the whole social media game? You know, the beefs, especially in the prison genre channels. Are there any guys you fuck with on the other channels?
Like with as far as like death, death I bring, like lockdown 23 and 1. I really like him. He's a good dude, and he's into his religious stuff now, and he's got a family, and he's turned his life around, and he's not just barking bullshit. I mean, he's a different genre. I mean, he's talks about, booty bandit shit, and he's kind of gets in, he's a little more entertaining, maybe. I'm a little more serious, but he's a nice guy, man, and I appreciate him getting me started, and we text each other once in a while. I just let him know, hey, I love you, man. He's a good dude. And I interviewed with, with Badger, yeah, OG Badger. He's a pretty cool guy, he's a little different. He came in a few years after me, but we were in some of the same prisons, and I know what he went through. And
You were on Nate Dogg also, right?
yeah, I talked to Nate one time. I did a little interview with him. He's an interesting guy. He's also straightened himself up. He's working. Doing his family thing. He likes motorcycles, and it is right down the hill from us in Sac. If this thing ever goes away, maybe we can go down and see him. It's
Shout out Nate Dogg 916.
some of these guys, though. I think. I also want to say, like Instagram. I reached out to Jesse James. He had West Coast Choppers for years. And I sent him a message about T-shirts, and hey, I got T-shirts. I'm an artist. I did 38 years in prison, and selling T-shirts is kind of a bitch. It's slow, and I asked him, do you ever get designs from guys, for your own shirt line or whatnot, right? And yeah, I didn't hear back from him for, I just kind of blew it off, like, big deal. I just reached out, and then 4 or 5 days later, man, my phone started blowing up, and I told her, hey, excuse me, because I don't want to be rude. I'm like, hey, I got a text. I go, wow, Jesse James bought a shirt for me, and then, man, I got like, bam, 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 bam. I got like 20, 30 orders in 5 minutes. And I guess he reposted my message, and then he put a big post about, hey, go check this guy out, and just man, it just blew my mind. That the word of a guy who's so popular with people would be like, hey, go look at this guy, and they did, and it just really blew my mind because people, we had so many orders, man. We're up like 3, 4 in the morning filling orders, and I really appreciate him doing that. I mean, it just blew me away. So social media in that regard, helping guys, I mean, look, I met you. You've helped us out, bought some of our stuff, and we're grateful for that. And yeah, sent me a couple cool ass shirts. You know, yeah, but some of these guys, man, like claiming to be in riots that they weren't in, and claiming to be, shot caller, tough guy killers, and all this shit, man. And I know better. I know better. So I mean, I don't. I just did an interview yesterday with a guy who was a white crip, and we're gonna post it tonight. And
I love it.
he's from my hometown. Out here in California during the time he was in prison, white crips were a no-no. Whites were not allowed to be in a yard with white crips, so they would stab them.
Bloods as well, right?
Huh?
Bloods as well, right?
Yeah, you can't be a white guy and be a white crip or white blood. I mean, it was just no. Now it's different, but this guy did his whole term on the main line, and the cops are telling him, hey, you want a PC up? You want a PC up? You want a PC up? He's like, fuck that. I am what I am. I'm gonna do my thing, and he did his whole term in general population, man, and so I respect that. So I don't have a lot of respect for guys that run to the PC side of life. So I mean, it is what it is. But you know, uh, people don't understand. That's just like bad shit. It's hard to explain, man.
I got you. I know we didn't talk that much about your tattooing experiences. Hopefully, in the follow up convo, we can. Any chance we might see Sailor Mitch's tattoo shop?
I tattoo a little bit, but not a whole lot. I'm more into my painting and my artwork now. It's kind of a novelty thing. I do it a little bit, tattoo a little bit, but I'm a tattoo on the wife, and a couple of my friends I tattoo on, they throw me a little money, but the tattoo shops, man, they're a little funky for me. And to have my own tattoo shop, I would have to pay rent and insurance and all this stuff. So I don't know if it'd be financially viable for me to.
Probably not. Maybe you could do like a guest tattooist one day. I'm sure plenty of people would be lined up out the door to get inked by Uncle Mitch.
Yeah.
I've had the same tattoo artist for 20 years, so I kind of know what the loyalty is in that. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people out there would love it.
Yeah. That's the best way to get tattoos for people that don't know is just find one guy you like his work and have him do like one whole arm or both whole arms. Get as much work from one guy as you can. That way it looks good. It's not a mixed match, hodgepodge.
So, Smiley, going to throw you into the grind and pivot ring of fire. Any habits that you brought back from prison that you just can't seem to shake?
One of my habits. I did carry a spoon around in my pocket till I lost it. I brought it home from prison. But I lost that spoon, and so it's kind of I let go of that. But
Eating.
Yeah, food's an issue for me. I got fucked over on food for so many years, man. That when I eat really fast. I kind of eat like this still. You go to the chow hall, you sit down, you just kind of like shovel your food in. I still do that. Yeah, yeah. I still eat like a savage a little bit.
Aside from the fact that we already found out you're into Depeche Mode, not going to hold it against you. Anything that people might be surprised to hear about you?
Yeah, I am in Depeche Mode. Some people might not know is, I did say, I started going to church in prison. I went to Catholic Mass. I did a lot of research and the history of the church and whatnot. And, my wife and I, since I've been out, we just got rebaptized into the Russian Orthodox Church. Just to make sure you're valid baptism, they rebaptize all newcomers into the church. So we just got rebaptized into the Russian Orthodox Church, and we're going to get married. And that's a big part of my life, the Orthodox Church. I,
Congrats. Mazel tov, as they say, my brother. And to you, Mrs. Smiley, of course. So we spoke for over an hour and a half, my brother. This was absolutely fantastic. I was excited to speak with you, and I feel like I know you guys. So appreciative for you to take the time. And you want to just key us in on what's going on and what's coming up?
well, I just want to thank you for having me on, and I really do want to emphasize, man, that the shout out Jesse James gave me. His Instagram is the Pope of Welding. He's a great guy, man, and people get famous, man, and people start hating on him, talking smack about him. I'm gonna tell you that guy's a genuine article, and I really am grateful for the shout out that he gave me, and also Dad from Lockdown 23 and 1. I want to thank him for getting me started, and you know, I just my wife, of course, my family and stuff. But anybody that's helped me out along the way, man, I just want them to know, people buying our shirts and everything. I want them to know, man, that we don't take it lightly. Guys who wrote and said, "Hey, you sent me the wrong size shirt," and we'll just send them another shirt, or "Hey, I got my print and it was damaged on the way," or whatever. We'll send them another print. Yeah, they mean a lot to us, man. And guys are out working for their money and they share it. They want willing to give me, a couple bucks for a shirt or a print, man. It means a lot to us. And so I want to thank everyone who's been to our site, watches our channel. I just want to thank them.
Same here, man. I think we all want to thank you as well. You're doing great. You're on a great path, staying straight, staying easy. Happy to hear of all the stuff that you're doing. And I'm hoping I'm going to see you soon on the New York City side. And don't forget, always do it hard. Mitch Smiley, hardintentions.com.
Our motto is whatever you do in life, do it hard. And we're going to do this one hard, Louis. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, bro. Good to talk to you. Thanks so much for listening. Big shout outs to the crew behind the scenes, John Hart, Ian Lidovich, Russ McMahon, and of course my wife Jill. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment and subscribe, and follow at Grind and Pivot. You already know we appreciate you. Later, son.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.